It's very hard to deny, and I would have a fairly strong argument with anyone that argued that Bruce Lee wasn't vitally important to where martial arts has been pretty much anywhere since he appeared on the scene. I think his influence is immeasurable. Some of that is because of his untimely demise, so there's kind of the James Dean effect. But yeah, a lot of that, in all fairness to him, was him.
I think the time that he's almost like timeless in many ways, because those films are from the 70s and this TV series in the 60s, and his writings in that period. I think his ideas of creativity, in many ways he was a martial artist. So you look at him as a martial artist, he was very creative, very intelligent with his ideas and articulate. And as obviously as an actor and other things, he had a great charisma and presence, and he was a very special person in that way.
Well, I think Bruce Lee is a kind of a special case because he was a perfect storm, and he really was there at the right time and had all of the right attributes to break down boundaries in all different directions. So his impact is still being felt today. I don't think that we could say that we wouldn't have MMA without Bruce Lee, but I think certainly his ideas have been hugely influential. Again, with anyone who's actually read his material. But he also got a lot of people into martial arts, people who never read any of his stuff but saw his movies and wanted to be like Bruce Lee.
As a teenager, seeing Bruce Lee the first time into the Dragon was a revelation. Watching Bruce Lee's short fist techniques in the opening event of the Dragon, I was with my best friend at the time. We just sat there at the screen, literally gape-mouthed, saucer-eyed.
He did sort of set out to very consciously and determinedly change the way that martial arts was seen in wider culture and to bring it to the wider culture. So it's quite understandable that he should be having that effect. I mean, like people like Jackie Chan might be household names, but he hasn't set out to change the way people see martial arts in the same way that Bruce Lee did.
I'm not a big fan of his movies actually, because of the funny sounds he's doing, but I love his writing. I think he is the systematic person, and this is something we really need in Chinese martial arts. I used to practice karate before, and there was the system like very strict, very easy to follow, but that's not the same in a case of Chinese martial arts. So I think this is the main point about Bruce Lee, his writings and like the system he made.
With Bruce Lee's approach, or should I say when he was more or less introducing it to America, he most likely talked about the discipline, why you would, everything was kind of like structured, and it had a tier approach, where today it's just, if I was strong and I went into a mixed martial arts school, they would teach me, some of the basics, but if I'm king of the cage, I'm king of the cage. So I see it going in a totally separate, opposite direction of what, Bruce Lee's, let's just say, philosophies would have been.
Now, his idea with Jeet Kune Do was to sort of use no way as a way to take what's useful and reject what's not and add whatever was specifically his own. They are two different things. But in a way, I'd say that Bruce Lee kind of was a precursor or a harbinger of what's happening in MMA now. The mixing of things together and finding out what really works and trying things out.
There was, I agree, when looked at the wider aspects of the Lee narrative, there were, however impressed I might be with the technical repertoire, there were issues of personal conduct which I did not identify with. And so for me, as I matured, I became less sympathetic with the tradition, the discourse. I became less sympathetic with the idea that it was often focused on the individual and not on the body of knowledge. And it's just the notion that Jeet Kune Do is about expressing yourself. All well and good, we all express ourselves at times, but there's more to life than self-indulgent self-representation.
And he doesn't speak to me because he left China too early. And in China there is a lot of people who say, but he died at 30 years old. normally a master, he has to live old because martial arts it's a healthy thing. So if he died, it means that his martial arts is not good.
I think his daughter will do well with his legacy, and I think that it was a brilliant idea. Mother has maintained the legacy until she could pass it off to her. But Linda still wasn't very visible. I think Shannon, I think she doesn't mind being out front.
Now Shannon is putting Bruce on cologne bottles and Bruce tea. There's a line where it could get a little bit exploitive, but I don't think she sees it that way, so I'm not. I think what she sees is that she's keeping his name forefront. I don't know if personally he was about having his image on the side of a tea bottle to be sold, or definitely like cologne or expensive jewelry. So,
in terms of being a role model, I don't think that the MMA have much to offer. But then again, I don't think that martial arts in general have much to offer, because I think that the whole thing is just a big lie. Like also Bruce Lee, yeah, his philosophy, blah, blah. Yeah, when you're a kid, you're not thinking Bruce Lee is cool because he has this rich pseudo-Taoist philosophy. You think Bruce Lee is cool because he's kicking other people to the head. So I'm very frustrated with all this mythology of martial arts will make people peaceful that we, the martial arts, have successfully installed in the Western mind in the last 70 years. Because I think it can make somebody peaceful, but it can also make you peaceful if you're playing badminton in a nice badminton club and you have a good trainer who cares for you and who asks you how is your life. So it's not about the martial arts, it's about a good community, I think.
I don't think Bruce Lee's legacy is waning. I think Bruce Lee's legacy is still going strong. In terms of new stars coming up, it's incredibly difficult because it is happening. I mean, it certainly happened, they pushed it very hard, and it happened differently with Jackie Chan in Hong Kong from 1978 through the 1980s and early 90s, but I hesitate to say this, Jackie's getting older now. It happened with Tony Jaa in Thailand. We see things happening in Malaysia, and it moves around a bit. And I think it's because you see this model for production, which they were using in Hong Kong, and they used with Bruce Lee, and then they used with Jackie. And that same model for production, which isn't just about martial arts, but how they make the movies and who's in control, that happens in other places where Hong Kong cinema was really successful. I think you're going to have difficulty seeing that, for example, show up in an American context because of the ways in which actors are regulated on set and can't really do a lot of the things that they would maybe want to or be allowed to do.
I think once there's been one Bruce Lee, you can't replicate, and that they've tried, the Hong Kong film industry tried. I think he's always going to have that impact, probably because he's got some magnetic effect through the screen that is inspiring. So for example, maybe you watch Jackie Chan or Jet Li or the Tony Jaa, and you're amazed by the stunts, but you probably don't go out and train. But there's something about Bruce Lee, maybe the physicality or the physique and the way he trained. You see some of the training sequences, and probably I think they've inspired many people.
It's sad, but when we think about politics and economics, these industries, the US and the UK, very strong, can put a lot of money into movies and circulate them more around the world than often other industries can, right? So if you're not going to have someone coming out of those industries that you can market as kind of, like Bruce Lee, I think you're not going to see this star come up who's kind of catapulted to fame globally in the same way, because I think it's also about distribution. So I think we're going to see lots of really talented martial artists pop up in different national contexts, but unless it's connected to a major industry that has lots of money for worldwide distribution, I don't know that we'll ever see another Bruce Lee, right? Because Bruce Lee had the power of the Hong Kong market and the authenticity of the Hong Kong market, and money from Hollywood, the Hollywood studios distributing. And I think that kind of changed the reception of Bruce Lee in a way that we are unlikely to see again.
But yeah, if you look at people that should really be filling that role, so Donnie Yen, Jackie Chan, they're great. And again, I've got a lot of respect for them as performers and artists, but I don't think we're going to get another Bruce.
There's something about that energy he had in his short life that's almost like always got amalgamated into one, and then when you watch it just a few minutes on the screen, you want to do something. I think I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's interesting, yeah.
I think it was a a beautiful snapshot in time, and it's one of those things. I reflected a lot when Muhammad Ali died, that it was very sad that Muhammad Ali had died, but it's great that in the infinite existence of the universe, the finite time I was here was when Muhammad Ali was here. And I think the same with Bruce Lee. I don't think we're going to get another one even like him, really. I think he was very unique.